Welcome to Mamamia Out Loud, what women are talking about on Monday, the 23rd of January. I'm Jessie Stevens.
I'm Mia Friedman.
And I'm Amanda Keller, 60 Minutes, filling in for Holly Wainwright.
On the show today,
In news that will alarm anybody with a sweet tooth, people are coming for the office birthday cake. There is a food kind of expert. She's a woman called Professor Susan Jebb. She's the chairwoman of the Food Standards Agency, as well as a professor who teaches diet and population health at Oxford University. She's English. And she has said this. It's caused a lot of controversy. She said that bringing a cake into the office or having office cake is as bad as passive smoking. And it must be similarly stamped out. She said if nobody brought in cakes to an office, I would not eat cakes in the day, but because people do bring cakes in, I eat them. Now, okay, I've made a choice, but people were making a choice to go into a smoky pub. She concluded that passive smoking inflicts harm on others, and exactly the same is true of food. And she says that having a supportive environment helps us to make better choices. Therefore, that environment should be cakeless or free of the temptation. Now, because obviously people were not happy about this, and she had to quickly clarify that these were not the views of the government and that they were, in fact, her personal conversation. No laws are going to be enacted in the workplace, but this is just her view.
about cake.
Now, funnily enough, I worked in an office and I actually knew somebody. They weren't my boss, but they worked in the same company where they were a new boss, a new leader of a team, and the previous leader used to bring in cakes all the time, used to cook cakes all the time for the staff. Good for morale. This person decided that there would be no more cakes and that there would be only fruit.
Unpopular.
She was not very popular.
What do you reckon, Amanda?
It's interesting because just a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine who bakes for her team at work, she decided that she's trying to eliminate a lot of the sugar from her life. She said, I'm going to do the same for them and I'm not going to be bringing in cakes anymore. She'd go out of her way to cater for everyone's dietary requirements, and there's a lot of those these days too. But another part of having cake, and if it's someone's birthday, is it is the smoko in the time it takes up.
We don't do that. So at Mamamia, it's also embarrassing when everybody has to stop. It's interesting to know at what happens at other people's workplaces, because when you all have to stop, have a cake, everyone has to sing, which is possibly one of the most mortifying things in the world.
Most people hate it.
Most people hate it. And it does take up time, right? So we used to do a thing where once a month we would have a cake, and everybody that had had a birthday during that month, we would celebrate
Horse's
them
birthday
all
on
together.
one day.
Yeah, we did. But the other thing in all seriousness that this can be problematic for is people with eating disorders or disordered eating. It can make you feel very conspicuous if you're the only one that doesn't have a cake. There can be a lot of pressure. It can cause people a lot of anxiety if they feel that they have to eat a piece of cake.
And a lot of pressure if someone brings in baked goods from home, whether it's someone's birthday or not, and encourages you to eat it. And you might be trying to do the right thing. You don't feel like it. You're on an eating plan, all those things. There is a lot of pressure to not offend. I know a lot of the apps and things that work with people trying to work out their dietary plans. So you have to look at the psychology of asking your friends to support you and not sabotage you so you don't feel that you have to give in.
Okay, couple of things. Firstly, on behalf of Jewish mothers everywhere, this is heresy because
Food is love.
Food is love, and cake is our predominant love language. And I would say that of my family, but I would also say that of the people I work with. And Jessie, I'm going to put to you, I don't know where you stand on this, but I'm going to put to you that this idea to me is the same as trigger warnings. I hate bringing up trigger warnings, but what about personal responsibility? If you don't want to have a piece of cake, don't have the piece of cake.
I see that, and I agree that that's what's different to me about passive smoking, right? Is that if someone is smoking in your vicinity, and I have this walking down the street sometimes, and you have someone blow, like there's not any consent or yes or no in that. And it's the thing about passive smoke and even smoking one cigarette is that we know that that is objectively bad for your health. You can healthily eat a piece of cake. So there are nuances and differences there. However, I think this is more about frequency. If it is cake once a month, yes. But I've worked in offices where it is cake and treats and snacks every day.
We've been that sometimes at
and that
Mamamia.
really does have a serious impact on your health.
And on your ability to say no.
And on your ability to say no. And in that way, I kind of tend to agree. We've seen it with kids in schools, right? Because even for ages, it was like if there was a end of year party or even what the canteen sold, and there was a transformation there in terms of what was and wasn't appropriate to feed kids, and the way in which celebration or joy becomes synonymous with sugar is something that probably isn't great.
But everyone in a workplace is an adult capable of making decisions, no?
That's easier than said than done. We all know that in the same way that I know you did an interview with Johan Hari, that we're being bombarded constantly with pressures on social media, pressures to fracture our focus. That's what it's designed for. And so is modern society in how we eat, and the pressure to conform, and that we're punishing ourselves. I shouldn't eat it, but there it is. These are big issues that are bigger than just our will, I think.
I agree, because if you look at addiction, right? Like, and I suppose alcohol, again, it's not quite the equivalent. Again, it's about frequency. If it's Friday night drinks and it's a little bit out of, like, we kind of do that on purpose so that it's not this contagious thing. For me, sugar is the vice. Sugar is the probably closest thing in my life to an addiction that I have to seriously keep in check, because the thing about, and I know I'm not I don't struggle this much, but there are people in my life I know who cannot eat a piece of cake. They can't eat one piece, they must eat the whole cake.
Yeah.
They cannot eat one Tim Tam,
Yeah.
they must eat the whole packet. And what we know about food and addiction is that is absolutely a valid addiction.
I get that, but then what about the people who can just have one piece, and who, for them, having a cake made by one of their colleagues or brought in by one of their colleagues is a great perk of the job because free cake, and is also like a really lovely thing for their day, and is a way that someone's expressed their love. Like an office birthday salad or something
Not
just
quite the
doesn't
same.
See,
quite...
I'd like that, but I'd be the only one.
Well, I reckon though, and I think workplaces, I've even noticed it in, my lifespan in a workplace, has gotten way better at options. Like, if you're catering for a birthday party or a work Christmas party, yes, you have the junk, but you also often have some options that if they don't want the sugar, there are...
Oh, see, you're not meant to call it junk. You're
Yeah,
meant to
I know.
say there's sometimes food and there's
Yeah.
everyday
Or
food.
vitamin J,
And
as I call it.
Cake is a sometimes food.
Yeah.
And
I know, it's
yes,
hard,
you
isn't
shouldn't
it?
be having it every day. But if there's an office cake once a week or even twice a week, is that a terrible thing?
Well, I don't know. It's funny too, because I think about my household. I've had to talk to my partner about this, where I've gone, we cannot have, like, he'll buy, for example, a big packet of chips or something. Or like, it would make more sense financially to get a block of chocolate. And I'm like, we can't do the block of chocolate.
'Cause
We
you'll
just
eat 'em.
can't, because I'll eat it all. And I don't feel good after I eat it. It's not about weight. It's not about calories. I don't feel good. I would rather just have a little bit.
Are
and
you
then-
able to not have a cake? If there's cake in the kitchen at work, are you able to just not have some?
Yeah, but it wears you down. It
What
wears
about
you down if
heroin?
it's every... It's a little bit of heroin.